Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here. Today I'm going to continue on Frank Zane's recommendations for developing a classical and V-tapered upper body, focusing today on the development of the latissimus, the lats, the upper back, as well as the lower back all together. Now again, the most important thing in regards to developing a classical V-tapered upper body in Frank's mind is developing shape. So we are going to go through the exercises that Frank recommends for upper back development as well as lower back development, because all of these in Frank's view give you the full tapered look. So we start with this great shot of Frank Zane, hands overhead, behind the neck. You could easily see how he could pull into a vacuum pose in this position, but here he is choosing to flare the lats out. And in doing so, with his broad shoulders and full arms, you can really see the development of his lats. They literally burst out from the sides and give you this impressive flared look, which contributes to that wonderful V-taper that he has. And again, those lats flare out, they tie in into the waist with those wonderfully developed serratus muscles, which we'll also go through today, down to that tight muscular waist. It's a beautiful illusion that he creates, and again, that illusion comes from his attention to developing the upper body for shape. Now, as mentioned in my previous video, Frank's motto is that shape means everything to the bodybuilder, and it is most important in developing a classical and symmetrical physique. In Frank's opinion, it is shape that distinguishes one bodybuilder from the next. It actually gives you a personal identity, and as he puts it, anyone can get size, and it's true, anyone can just get bulk, but to train for shape eventually gives you size in the right places according to Frank, and also eventually cuts. This great hands overhead, almost a victory pose here by Frank Zane. Again, the way he holds the pose really emphasizes the V-taper. You can really see how as he flares the arms up and overhead and truly presents the forearms, the thick forearms, the thick arms that he actually has developed with nice biceps and nice triceps, and flares those lats out down to that tiny waist. Again, you can really draw a V. You can really just grab a pen and draw a V down there and see that wonderful V-taper that he has developed using this philosophy. Now, according to Frank Zane, the lats complement the deltoids in developing the full V-taper, and although in Frank's opinion the upper lats are easy to develop, he actually really concentrates on developing his lower lats to have the full sweep in the lats to complement the tiny waist to give the full V-taper. And this is what we're going to talk about, his actual exercise selection now. And before doing so, I just want to mention that the following exercises that he recommends, he would perform anywhere between 3 to 5 sets, and again go for the pump with a maximum only of 2 minutes rest between sets. Now, one of the things that fascinated me the most about Frank Zane's selection of exercises is his thought behind the selection of the exercise itself. For the upper lats, he recommends using a wide grip and having your hands overhead. The combination of the two develops the upper lats. For example, for these, he would use the wide grip chin and the pull down. A very intelligent way of thinking. Having a wide grip, having hands overhead would develop the upper lats. Now, although all kinds of bent over rowing, be it barbell or T-bar rows, are all very important as mass builders, Frank Zane actually used to use these for developing the center of the back, the central back, as well as the lower back. And it is very important to see how he actually did them, because he explains this in his books. He actually on purpose used to do them elevated, and also used to round the back, and in doing so he thought he got a greater stretch and allowed himself to actually hit the lower back. Notice the grip as well, it's a medium or short grip, allowing the development of the lower back, because he hits that region better by having his grip closer. Now, in regards to barbell and T-bar rowing, Frank Zane has mentioned that with barbell rowing he got excessive tennis elbow kind of pain and therefore switched to T-bar rowing. Now, in order to hit the lower lats further, Frank Zane used to also preach about one arm rows. Although he's doing it here flat on the floor, he now prefers to do them elevated to get a further stretch. Notice that in order to really hit the lower lat, most golden era bodybuilders used to do all of these rowing motions elevated, either elevated on a bench such as barbell rowing, or on a step when they've been doing T-bar rows, or in this case one arm rows. The importance to develop the lower lat, from what I realized having read all these books and seen all these photos, is that the step, having done the exercise elevated, allows for a greater stretch, and this greater stretch allows you to hit the lower lat. Now, dumbbell pullovers were used exclusively during his back building exercises to actually hit the serratus. Now notice how deep he's actually going with his arms. Look at that incredible stretch, and he actually says here in his booklet, I've got it right here, the development of these muscles, the serratus, is a must. When thick and well defined, they add the finishing touches to your torso development. Now this really is a finishing touch to a physique, to have wonderfully developed serratus muscles. And he explains the dumbbell pullover as a wonderful exercise. I'll just read it for you. Lying crossways on a flat bench, hold a moderately heavy dumbbell between two hands and get as much stretch as possible. And he puts stretch in capital letters, and you can really see how much emphasis on the stretch he has in the dumbbell pullover when developing the serratus, because you can really see that his elbows are basically almost parallel to his hips, and his arms are all the way back behind him. So he really does emphasize stretching in the dumbbell pullover with a moderately heavy dumbbell to really develop the serratus. This is reminiscent, one could say, of the Nautilus pullover machine, because it allows you to go really all the way back and get a good stretch for the development of the lats and the serratus muscle. Now, as stated in my video on Frank Zane's recommendations for developing the delts, he recommends two different kinds of split routines. Split A for the intermediate would be a Monday, Thursday, concentrating on upper body exercises, Tuesday and Friday on lower body exercises, with 3 sets per exercise, and maybe just choosing anywhere between 3 or 4 exercises. Whereas for split B, being the advanced type of trainee, he would actually split the upper body further and actually perform on Mondays and Thursdays delts and arms, Tuesdays and Fridays chest and back, Wednesday and Saturdays lower body, with 5 sets per exercise, and doing more exercises, 5 or 6 exercises per body part. So I hope you've enjoyed this video on developing the upper and lower lats for that classic V-taper look, and really I hope you've enjoyed the way that Frank Zane actually explains why he uses the exercises. For example, a wider grip, and especially exercises from an overhead position to develop the upper lats, whereas exercises in a bent over position with a closer grip to develop the lower lats. I think his way of thinking of choosing the correct exercise for the correct purpose and the correct goal is something that is missing today, and I think this kind of wisdom should be spread and continued. So yeah, I love reading about Frank Zane. He was really the thinking man's bodybuilder. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't to the Golden Era Bookworm. Let me know what you think, and thank you for watching. This is the Golden Era Bookworm. Bye for now.